In a matter of hours, the All Progressives Congress will be choosing its official flag bearer for the 2023 election. Presidential aspirants will be tidying up their plans before the official showdown begins, as they prepare to contest for the presidential ticket of the ruling party. The presidential primary is one that spectators around the country will be watching closely, and if there is anything that is guaranteed, it is the possibility of fireworks. One major thing the electorate will be looking forward to is the revelation of President Muhammadu Buhari's preferred successor as an age, which has been one of the talking points leading up to the primary. On Monday, reports emerged that the All Progressives Congress, APC, chose Senate President Ahmad Lawan as its consensus candidate. The members of the National Working Committee denied endorsing the Senate President as the consensus presidential candidate of the party. Joining us on this show this morning as the conversation continues on the APC presidential primary and also a review of the screening exercise are Musawa Hannatu, Secretary of the APC Presidential Screening Committee, and Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, Senator representing Ekiti Central Senatorial District at the National Assembly. Welcome to the morning show, Ajia Musawa and Senator Opeyemi Bamidele.
Thank you, sir.
Well, quickly, let me start with the two of you here in Abuja before we go to Lagos, where Tundu and Rufai Oseni are also waiting to ask you questions. Well, let me start with you, Ajia. What should we expect today? A lot of fireworks, a day of drama. Tuesday describes today as Super Tuesday. How super will this Tuesday be? And is it true that there is really a preferred choice? Because earlier on this program, the conversation was about it's not possible that the chairman of the party would just throw up a name from nowhere without clearance from the president. And for you, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, well, where do you stand in all of this? You are from the South, you've been a senator, you've been involved in the politics. Do you suspect that despite the assurances from the 13 APC northern governors that the choice should go south, that it is possible that the APC may well come up with a northern candidate? And if that happens, what will be the implications for the party? Let me start with you, Ajia Musawa.
Well, thank you, Dr. Abati. It's a pleasure to be on your show. What I can say to you, you did bring up quite a few issues. Today is Super Tuesday, and what you can expect from this process, it's the display of democracy. We have 2,340 delegates that from all over the country that have converged in Abuja and are ready to choose the flag bearer of the APC. In no way is APC going to impose any candidate. I do believe that the party is going to display a high level of democracy. We're going to go to the convention, and with the grace of God, there will be an emergence of a flag bearer, and that will be done through a very, very democratic process. So that is, I believe, what we should expect. And I think you also brought up the issue about the chairman choosing a preferred candidate. The chairman of the party is a very respected and honorable, not only member of the Nigerian Parliament, he's a two-time governor, and he's a very, very experienced politician at the same time. Not only would he come and make pronouncements that do not have some sort of backing, but the reality of the situation is whatever the media has reported that has come out or emanated from the chairman, there has not been any official declaration from the party. These are reports that we are hearing from the media, but in no way has has the chairman come out and made any formal declaration. So I would put any reports that you're hearing in the media down to hearsay, unless and until the party takes a definitive position as to what the consensus candidate or any pronouncement that the chairman is making. I think we should take it with a grain of salt. And we don't know whatever pronouncements we're hearing through the media. We don't know the context in which it was made by the chairman, if it was made by the chairman. So please, I would like to urge everyone to exercise caution. Let us watch what will unfold today. By the grace of God, we are planning to go into a convention and display democracy, and that is what I think the chairman also is going to make sure he enforces within the party today.
Well, Senator Opeyemi, over to you.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Good morning.
Tundu and Rufai.
Very special regards to Tundu and Rufai too in the Lagos studio. You guys are doing such a wonderful job, waking Nigerians up to very informative session every day. Well, I want to say, like Hajia Hannatu Musawa just explained, that all we are looking forward to today is a special convention that is aimed at conducting a primary election that is free and fair, that will be consistent with global best practice standard in democracy. The governors from the northern part of the country, I must say, have displayed a high sense of patriotism. The governors didn't just do this, they were doing this based on agitations in different parts of the country. And I believe that what they did was in direct response to what they consider to be the popular yearnings and aspirations of majority of Nigerian people. For me, it makes a lot of sense. By the grace of God, I am currently the chairman of the Southern Senators Forum, and I know that we received that news with a lot of, very wonderful vibes, not for any personal interest, but because we know that it is good for the interests, overall best interests of Nigeria. It's good for the unity of this country. It's good for equity. And as it is said, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. So I believe the 13 governors from the north have come to equity with clean hands. And time will tell, because I believe they are men of their word. They will stand by what they have said. And as much as possible today, the old talk about the chairman having endorsed or attempted to endorse a particular aspirant as a consensus candidate, for me, is what I would consider as one of the conspiracy theories that we have had to deal with in APC in the last couple of weeks. All manners of conspiracy theories have been there. At some point, we were told that Emefiele was going to come as the presidential candidate. At some point, it was rumored that it would be Goodluck Jonathan. At some point, it was even rumored that some of our presidential aspirants who went for screening had been disqualified. So, for me, this is just another one. We all listened to the National Organizing Secretary of the party yesterday, Alhaji Argungu, who made it clear that the National Working Committee of the party, exercising the authority of the neck of the party, remains united on the fact that they are going into a primary election that will be free and fair, there will be no consensus candidate, and that nobody had been anointed. And we all stand by this. And it's not just about him. If people are saying that the chairman had tried to use the name of the president to promote a particular aspirant, I would want to say that the president himself is around. He spoke for himself. He's still speaking for himself. He met with the governors of APC. He met with all the aspirants. And he was consistent in every one of the meetings he held with different stakeholders, that it must be through the process of free and fair primary election. And that's what we are preparing for. Today, the president also issued a statement through Madam Shehu Garba, and that's a message that is also trending, that is being given to every delegate who has arrived in Abuja as they are going into Eagle Square. And what Mr. President is telling every delegate is, please go and vote in accordance with your conscience. Go and vote, for a candidate or an aspirant that will be a flag bearer of our party and will have a mass appeal to the Nigerian electorate. So if the president himself is saying all of this, then if we are being told that anybody is trying to use his name to promote a particular aspirant, we just take it as one of the conspiracy theories.
Okay. Tundu?
So good morning, distinguished. Thank you for those really kind words. And good morning, Hajia. Lovely to see you again after such a long time. But my question, I'll start with you, distinguished. Has the president really been consistent, though? Because you'll recall that the president said in an interview that he does have a preferred candidate whose name he's going to keep close to his chest. You could argue that a preferred candidate is the right of the president, like any other Nigerian to have a preferred candidate. However, he then was more clear when he talked about reciprocity and requested that of the governors, that I allowed you, first-term governors, to have a second bite at the cherry. I allowed you, second-term governors, to choose your successor, so now allow me. So that is not looking like a president who is sitting on the fence. Now my question, there will be one winner and several losers. How does your party intend to manage and limit the damage as we approach the general elections? What if you have disgruntled or angry party members, as we have seen with Senator Akpanu Dodehe, who has already defected from the party? What if you have that kind of situation where members are truly aggrieved and they feel that they need to leave? How do you plan to address that? We saw that extraordinary outburst from the national leader of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, when he was addressing the delegates in Abeokuta. Clearly, all is not well in the ranks of the APC. There is tension brewing in the APC. How are you addressing this situation? I'll start with you, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, and then go to you, Hannatu Musawa.
Thank you, Tudun. For me, there's only one way to ensure that the party does not erupt in crisis at the end of this primary election, and that is by allowing a free and transparent process whereby a winner will not only emerge, but will be seen to have won. It's an exercise that will be conducted in public view with all the level of transparency that is required. And like we said before, every delegate will have an opportunity to vote. And as a matter of fact, even if any aspirant is going to be withdrawing from the race, again, it will be in the full glare of the camera. Nobody was asked to withdraw. Nobody withdrew, in secrecy. Whatever is going to be done will be done openly. But if you have over 2,300 delegates who are coming to vote, it is important that you just allow everybody to freely express his own mind through the ballot. We have no doubt that if a free and fair process is allowed, it will be easier to contain whatever might be the fallout. Of course, it's only one aspirant that will win, no doubt about that. But the credibility of the process is what will determine the extent to which a losing aspirant would be willing to accept the results as the verdict of the delegates and the verdict of the people. And as far as we are concerned, that's why we feel that as much as possible, the whole idea about a consensus candidate trying to emerge, because even if you say you have a consensus candidate, people will still have to vote anyway. through a process of affirmation. And if you are saying that anyone also has agreed to a consensus, the law is clear on that. There's a process that will still have to be followed. And as much as possible, I think the issue of compliance is also something that will be taken very seriously today. These primaries will be guided by 3 principal documents or laws as it is. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, which clearly stipulates, the eligibility criteria and mode by which these primaries will have to be conducted. And then, of course, the Electoral Act 2022, which again clearly spells out, the procedure to be adopted. And then, of course, the constitution of the All Progressive Party itself as a party. And, of course, based on all of these 3 documents, the leadership of the party has drawn up a set of guidelines. And if there is strict compliance with these guidelines, it will be easier to manage. Meanwhile, the national chairman does not have a vote. He's not going to vote. He will be there like any other person, like the president of the country, like the governors. The people that will vote, no statutory delegates will vote today. The people that will be voting are the 3 national delegates elected from each of the 774 local governments in the country. So you can tell 3 times 774 is what gave us the total number of the delegates that will be voting today. Whichever, aspirant is able to garner the largest, number of votes by simple majority would have won this primary. And it will now depend on how much work each aspirant had done before today. It will depend on the antecedents of each of the aspirants. It will depend on the hope that the delegates themselves have in such an aspirant as to whether or not such an aspirant is capable of winning a general election for the party, and whether or not the aspirant also has what it takes as regards the understanding of what is to be done, what is wrong with Nigeria, what is to be done to get us out of the quagmire that we are, what is to be done to take Nigeria indeed to the next level, and how best you can also be able to convince Nigerians that as the flag bearer of our party, you are capable of not only winning an election, but responding to the popular yearnings and aspirations of the Nigerian people.
Yes, Tundun, hi, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning to Rufai.
Rufai, hi, but Tundun is actually my friend, so I give her a special good morning.
Thank you.
Yes, I think Senator Bamidele actually covered it all, but if I could piggyback onto what he said, I think the credibility of the process that's going to play out today is going to play a major part in the possible disenfranchisement of any aspirant. But I guess it is only natural. These aspirants, these fine gentlemen and women have committed their time, their energy, and their resources to a certain objective. And of course, if they aren't able to reach that objective, it's going to be very, very disappointing, and it's only expected. But the party has taken this into consideration and has put up mechanisms where we will be able to reconcile the parties immediately after the primary. We'll reach out to every single member. Every single aspirant is of value to us, and we do not want to lose one member of the party going into a very, very difficult election with an extremely credible opposition. So the party is going to do everything in its power to make sure that we maintain the credibility of the process today. And then immediately after that, mechanisms for trying to reconcile every single member is going to be put into place. And with the grace of God, you will see a party that is going to come out more united than ever, and a party that's going to stand as one with every single one of the 23 aspirants that have vied for this seat of today.
I thought there were 21 now. Or is it 22?
No, it was...
How many are there exactly?
23. 23, yeah. Was
altogether.
yeah.
Okay. Rufai.
Doctor, good to have both of you, and thank you so much, distinguished Opeyemi Bamidele, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, for your very kind words. Nice to meet you, Hajia. A lot has been said about you. Real quickly, do you think, with all of this, can you beat your chest and say the APC is a democratic party? Hajia, you go first, and afterwards, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele.
Rufai, I would say, yes, the APC is a democratic party in a nascent democracy. And how do I mean? We all agree that today we are where we ought to have been some 30 years ago or 40 years ago if our democracy had not been terminated in 1966 based on the teething problem. We had a democracy, but people took advantage of the teething problem to, destroy all the democratic institutions that we had. And we had a situation where at different times, one corrective military regime had come in to take over from another corrective one. And this took its own toll, too, on the growth of our democracy. And today, we are, because when we keep talking about this and how democratic is a party or how democratic we are as a nation, we also cannot run away from the fact that we must understand where we have emerged from, where we came from. This is Nigeria. We are a people with a history of over 300 years of slavery and exploitation. And this was immediately followed by another 100 years from 1861 to 1960. Another 100 years of colonial exploitation. And then, of course, we had a democracy, terminated military regime of all sorts. So, for the very first time, this is when we are now allowing democracy to actually take its course in this country, allow it to grow with all the teething problems. We will overcome these teething problems, Rufai. I have no doubt about that. But as to whether or not APC is democratic, I would say yes, but in a democracy that is still nascent.
Yeah, I believe there's a lot of room for improvement for democracy in Nigeria. I think that is all around, not just with the APC, just the general system in and of itself. However, I feel also what we are going through is an evolution. I think we need to go through this to get to a place where we are able to couch the kind of democracy that not only works for every single Nigerian, but that is more or less ideal to the democratic tendencies that we're trying to apply. So yes, I do think APC is a democratic party, because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be having this process today. Someone would have just anointed a candidate and that is the end of the matter. But that is not what's happening. Though the party's supremacy is intact, the party is still choosing to go through a process that will give every single aspirant equal playing ground. And that is what you will see today. Hopefully, one day we will get into a place or a plane where we do have the kind of ideal democracy that all of us sort of envisage. And I think somehow we will evolve to that through this particular experiences that we're having.
Okay, well, as we begin to wind down, a few more questions. To you, Hajia, for example. You were secretary of the APC Presidential Screening Committee, right?
Yes, I was.
So you were there. You witnessed the process. Mm-hmm. We've had some stories about what transpired. But I would like to hear from you, your own account of how, that process went through. And then maybe you will talk about your own preferred aspirant. After all, the chairman of the party has already disclosed his own, preferred aspirant, and maybe the choice of also some people. And then Senator Opeyemi Bamidele. Well, I want to know where you stand, because if it goes south, as is been recommended by the northern governors, where do you stand in that southern equation? Who will be your preferred choice, particularly among the 5 persons we hear have been shortlisted? Ajia, let me start with you.
Thank you, Doctor. Like, when I came here this morning, I didn't know that you were trying to get me into trouble. My preferred candidate for the APC as a flag bearer is a Nigerian that will be able to not only defend democracy in Nigeria, that will be able to stand up for every single Nigerian, and that will be able to take APC to victory in 2023. Well, yes, I was the secretary of the Presidential Primary Screening Committee. It was a very enlightening experience that I had. We had the opportunity to screen 23 incredible patriots, Nigerians who had the courage to stand up and say that they wanted to lead this country into the future. Stories that came out from that particular process that our committee had disqualified certain members was not true. Every single aspirant actually was cleared. What we did was we did the process, it was twofold what we did. First of all, we took constitutional requirements, the party's requirements, and there were electoral acts requirements, and then there was a set of questions that we, as a panel, wanted to put to the aspirants. And every single one of the aspirants were asked exactly the same questions. And in terms of the requirements from the Constitution, Electoral Act, and the party constitution, every single one of those candidates was able to meet the mark. And then additionally, we asked questions about certain aspects of what we thought was important in coming up with our report. One of which was, since you have declared, how many states have you visited? You know, things like that. What is your policy strategy for Nigeria? And every single one of those aspirants gave brilliant responses. And as a committee, we knew that going into the 2023 election is absolutely ridiculous to go into a convention with 23 members. So on our own, what we did was, on the second fold of the exercise, what we did was to analyze every single response and through the interactions that we had with the aspirants, to analyze all their responses and to now try to select those that we felt had the strongest possibility of winning the election, because that is what this whole process is not about. Sentiment. It's about us going into an election with an extremely formidable candidate in the person of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and defeating him. So there was no sentiment there. We now gave a recommendation to the party that every single aspirant had was actually cleared and had passed all the had satisfied all the requirements. However, we as a panel also feel that going into the election, we need a candidate that can face the opposition of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. So we gave suggestions as to 13 members, trying to help the party whittle it down. No aspirant was disqualified. Every single one of them was cleared. And I can tell you this, Dr. Abati, from my personal interaction from every single one of those, from number 1 to number 3, any one of these patriots that the party comes up with as a flag bearer is not only a benefit to the party, it's a benefit to Nigeria as a whole. They were absolutely outstanding. So, yeah, that is my own recap of...
Okay. Well, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele,
well, thank you.
Who is your preferred aspirant?
Thank you, Dr. Abati. I am sure a lot of my friends and brothers, including you, Dr. Abati, would have said to me at one point or the other that they didn't just envy me, the position in which I am. But I have not found myself in any kind of conflict. When you are part of a process for a while, at some point, you would have become familiar with a good number of people and stakeholders. That when you are in a situation like this, it won't be a surprise that you are close to, different people who are aspiring for the same thing. His Excellency Dr. Opeyemi is my governor and the leader of the party, my leader in Ekiti State. Is one of the aspirants. The last time I appeared on this program, somebody actually called to say, oh, we heard Dr. Opeyemi is boasting that you are not going to get a ticket for a second time to come back to the Senate. Today, it's not only that I got the ticket to come back, I was actually returned unopposed by the stakeholders, of our party in Ekiti State. And I believe this is in appreciation of my modest contribution on the floor of the Senate and in other areas. So he's in this race. His Excellency, the Vice President of the country, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, I was privileged to have served in the cabinet of Lagos State. I served the government and people of Lagos State with him as cabinet members in Lagos State. And in the process, we developed a personal relationship. But one recurring decimal in my political career is His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He was the one who appointed me, gave me the privilege to serve as a cabinet member in Lagos State. It was in the process that I met Professor Yemi Osinbajo. And of course, if you look at some of the other people who are contesting, some of them are my colleagues in the Senate, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and we relate very well and all that. So I have my own relationship with different people. And today, I am appearing on this program on behalf of the Media and Publicity Committee of the party, not just in my own individual capacity. So if we are saying we are trying to midwife a special convention aimed at organizing presidential primary that will be free and fair, that will be rancor-free, then it will be very difficult for me to sit here and begin to say this is my preferred aspirant. But my preferred person at the end of the day would be someone that I'm convinced. It's not just because I know him, but because I'm convinced that he has a thorough understanding of the workings of the economy, he has the courage to take decisions, he has an ability to identify talents, put them together, deploy them, and be on top of supervising them, as a leader. And of course, all of this, for me, will be things that will go that are more important than me knowing somebody personally or somebody having done something for me that I feel I owe him. The presidency of Nigeria, as I always say, is a very serious business.
We seem to have run out of time. I get your point, Senator.
Thank you.
Opeyemi Bamidele. You belong to everybody. You do not belong to anybody. That's the point you are making.
I'm not making that point.
Well,
all I've just tried to say is that because I'm here representing the Media and Publicity Committee, so that I'm not guilty of the same thing they're accusing the national chairman of trying to sell a particular aspirant. But I'm committed to the point that our governors from the north have said there's a need for power shift to the south.
Okay, we've run out of time. We need to go now.
Say a word to Dundun?
No, she's hearing you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, and thank you very much too.
Thank you.
Hannatu Musawa, thank you very much indeed.